Hello everyone. So I have finished my playthrough of Horizon Forbidden West. This is this we have to wait 5 years for this, but the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out in 2017, follows Aloy's journey, and I was very much looking forward to this game. It was one of my most anticipated games of the year, so I was very happy to get my hands on it. I, of course, played it on PS5 as it was a PS4, PS5 exclusive. My entire playthrough is up on YouTube, so at the end of this video, I'll post a link to part 1 of my playthrough if you want to watch through all of it or just see certain parts of it. I have them all labeled. I think I have like 18 episodes in total on it. But it took me around 22 hours to complete this game. Of course, there still is I just did a chunk of the side stuff you can do. There's still a whole lot left for me to do, so I feel like I could easily get 50 plus hours in this game if I really wanted to go through and do everything. But yeah, about 22-ish hours it took me to go through the first campaign of this game. So without further ado, let me get into my review for Horizon Forbidden West. So with this game, there is so much to talk about, but one of the things I do really want to stress is that I do feel like this is the best looking game that I have ever been able to play. It really showcases the power that the PS5 can pump out. And of course, games are only going to get better from here, but it truly is one of the prettiest. Just the way that they made the landscapes. If I was in photo mode quite a bit in this game, which it actually is a very good photo mode. I really enjoyed using it. It wasn't anything like a Tsushima or Ghost of Tsushima level, but it was very fun. But I really felt like I was every single time I turned the camera a little bit, or even walked 5 paces and walked another 5 and walked another 5, I was moving the camera around, just absolutely admiring the beauty of the landscapes and everything in this game. Even the machines and just the societies that are in this game too are just absolutely beautiful. And it is got to be the best looking game that I have ever played graphically. It's pretty damn outstanding how great this looks, and I don't even have well, I mean, I that's the ray tracing and everything like that, but I don't even have the prettiest monitor in terms of doing stuff like that, and I was absolutely blown away just by how beautiful it is, and of course too, it's just bolstered by an amazing sound design that is well, I mean, it was present in the first game, but everything in terms of the looks, the sounds, how it feels just was absolutely bolstered in this game. I think one of my favorite sounds is the thunder jaws in this game have an attack that basically like shoots 10 lasers out of its mouth towards the ground, and then it slowly comes up and basically spreads the battlefield in like these lasers that will do a lot of damage to you. Has to be probably my favorite sound of this game, but yeah, the sound design is just absolutely incredible, from Aloy running in the tall grass to the bowstrings being pulled back and firing, the sounds of all the ammunition that you have in this game, whether it be fire or acid, plasma, everything just packs an absolute punch when it comes in. And this has to be one of my favorite video game soundtracks or original scores that I have heard in a video game in a long time. It's pretty damn spectacular how great it is, from the combat music to when it wants to be emotional or get into more silent scores or just even have atmospheric music while you're exploring around, is just really pretty and bolsters every single mood and the impact of it. It's absolutely great. And again, just bolstered by one of the best and most unique sound designs that I've heard in a game. Is pretty amazing. So in all of those kind of technical aspects of just how the game looks, sounds, and feels to play, is pretty nothing short of phenomenal. And in terms of the story, of course, this takes place not too long after where the events of Forbidden West ended. Aloy is on her journey to find out more about who Elizabeth Sobeck was, what her purpose was, and of course to restore Gaia. And that's kind of where a lot of this game comes into play, where you find facilities that will be able to house Gaia, bring her consciousness back to life, and also find components that are going to help heal the world, because there is this plague that has started to arise in the east and of course in the west where you're traveling, called the blight, which is basically this red poison that is taking over and killing farmlands, machines, animals, and humans alike. And basically, the only way to do that is by healing the planets, and that is by restoring Gaia to her functions. But of course, you're going to have a lot of troubles around the way, which Aloy soon figures out. She feels like she has to do this on her own, and she's the only one capable of doing so just because of her DNA and just the way that the world has been programmed. But of course, too, that she just doesn't want to see anyone get hurt in her mission. It's selfish, but not selfish at the same time, what she's doing. And it just makes for a really compelling story the entire time that you're with her. And Aloy is just, from the voice acting to just who her character is, the writing, and just everything that she's tested and put through and has to lose and endure through in this game, and especially building off of the last game. She has to be one of my favorite video game characters of all time, and they absolutely have PlayStation has another standout character on their hands where I can't wait to just learn more about her journey through and through. Where again, she has her flaws, but they're beautiful flaws in a sense that just truly show how amazing of a character she is, and she works through them and has to dissect herself too in order to learn how to be better, not just for herself but for the world, the planets, and just to stop the blight from taking over, and of course tribes from going to war with one another, having coups from the inside, and of course too just blending what she has learned about herself in the east and taking that all the way to the west with her to not essentially try to motivate everyone to be like her, but just to let her know that everything is bigger than oneself when it comes to the fate of the world, and also too just the fate of other people. There is a lot of really really great side quests and just of course main quests that you can partake in this game, and I highly recommend doing as much as you can because the characters you're going to meet along the way are so well worth knowing, and it's just an amazing beautiful story that they're able to craft here with tons of lore that just makes playing the first game all the more better, and just with some of the smartest and most compelling dialogue that I've heard in a game in a long time. It's feels kind of in Witcher 3 in ways, just being able to learn these characters in the way that you get the dialogue text to speak to them in certain ways is very awesome, where there isn't too many choices that you'll make that'll affect the main story. Of course, there is a few where some characters will stick with you or be against you or die, like certain things like that. But nothing that's gonna like give you a different ending or change really a whole lot in terms of the world and power structures within it. But there is quite a lot of people that you can talk to and learn from and do side quests for that'll give you really good loot, perks, weapons, things like that along the way. And I highly recommend talking to everyone that you absolutely can because there's just so much that you can do, so many dialogue options, and again, it is a very lore heavy time. And if you really take the time to read all the text logs, listen to all the audio logs that you can find in the world, and also too when you have chances to speak to the characters, actually talking to them and learning everything about their tribes, what they feel, their places in the world, like history, things like that. This is a truly amazing lore of a story, and I just loved hearing all of it and talking to it. Sometimes, like these conversations can last half an hour, so I get that they can be a bit tedious, but it's so worth it because of just how beautifully crafted this world and this story and all this dialogue is. It's just I don't think anyone should skip it or miss out on it because it truly is one of the most beautiful stories I've heard in a long time and one of the most fun stories I've had learning. Where I found even the first one, I was so excited to find out what happened to the world, and this one, I was so excited to find out what is going to happen to the world throughout all of this. There's a way bigger threat that's involved in this game that I thought was really cool, and it even too expands on the lore that the first one came up with, where characters like with Ted Faro and even Elizabeth Sobek, a lot of the old worlds, which is even speaking about it now, our future 2060. There's so many amazing stories that they're able to craft and tell with this. Hearing all the stories about the 10 who were like 10 fighter pilots who basically just created a code of valor within their war and how that's inspired a certain tribe of people to act just like them to better the world and better their tribe was just absolutely amazing. And it just feels like you're playing a history book, and it's so well. Like I said, it's just amazingly well crafted. I enjoyed going through the story so much. It is beautiful to learn about, and it is epic. The cutscenes in this are so awesome. Just shows off how badass Aloy is. There's especially like the last, I want to say, 4 hours of this campaign with some of the most epic video game moments I have ever gone through, and it is just so fucking awesome. Some of it was almost like I was watching Avatar, but way better in terms of just all the creatures that come out, all the robots, and the villains that you go against are pretty menacing and they're really fun to fight against too. But yeah, just the way that Aloy and her crew is able to use machinery and the world that they're in is just the scale that they had everything down to. It was like watching a movie and one of the most high budget movies you've ever seen. Battles that almost felt like Lord of the Rings scale in terms of its weight and just like how vast it was really, really just something incredible to watch. I was cheering from my seat, just getting so pumped playing through it. And yeah, my goodness, it's just a super fantastic, fucking awesome game to go through, and easily one of my favorites. The gameplay too is a lot more smooth out this time, and there's a lot of different arrow types that you can get that will, even against the human enemies, but especially the machine enemies, once you scan them, you get to see their weak points, and you find out which weak points are susceptible to certain types of ammo that you can use, which I said a little earlier, it can be anything like flame, poison, plasma damage, electric damage, and even to some of the certain parts, if you hit them with a certain type of ammunition, instead of just knocking them off and hurting the machines in this way or hurting human enemies in a certain way where it just knocks off a component, you can use, like, again, depending on the chain reaction, you could use fire, which will blow up a canister and do more damage instead of just knocking it off and falling it off. So it's a lot easier ways and faster ways to take out enemies. And of course, there's a lot of heavy weapons on the ground that you can use. There's, I think, 5 different ones. Some can just be a chain gun, some are like disc launchers, some are flamethrowers or plasma launchers that are really, really fun to use. And very, very good to use against some of the robotic enemies in this. But yeah, you have a bigger weapon wheel this time to use more ammo types, more weapon types. There's spears that you can throw that explode. There's trip casters, a bunch of traps that you can place down too, which basically could be poison bombs, electric bombs, basically all the enemies or the all the ammo types that you can add to your bow and arrow you can get in trap form too, and they can do big damage, especially if you're going on hunts trying to farm for certain machines to get certain parts from only these certain machines. It's great to lay traps on basically their paths that they walk around the world. So you lay the traps and then you can take them out a lot easier as you're farming for resources. And even to the tall necks I found this time around were a lot harder and had a lot more puzzle elements to them, which are really, really fun and awesome to go through. There is a lot of puzzles in this actually where you can go through ruins of the old worlds at have a lot of puzzle elements to them where you have basically like a grappling hook that you could use to pull objects to you to basically create platforms to climb higher or build like grates down so you can pull yourself up into vents and climb around that way, or even to just tear down parts of structures so that you can basically breach and get to one side of the wall or breach to get to one side of the wall to bring, like I said, something that you can use to get yourself on a ledge in a room. There's just so much puzzle stuff that you can do, and a lot of it takes you to some really cool places. I think one of my personal favorites, there is San Francisco in this game that you go to, which looks absolutely beautiful, and some of the old structures that are around are so cool. But the most beautiful one has to be a mission where you go to Las Vegas, and it's so cool. It's basically, oh, I don't want to spoil it, but it's just going to be one of the most beautiful things you've witnessed in a video game, especially when you kind of get power back into the city. My God, it's again just one of the most beautiful things I've ever had to look at. And yeah, whether it be fighting human enemies, whether it be fighting robotic enemies, or even to just exploring the world, whether I'm actually trying to loot treasure or I just want to run around the plains and find tall necks and do these puzzles. I was blown away every single time by how fun it was, how great the layering was and the platforming was, and also too just how great this game was. It's again nothing short of phenomenal. And really, when it comes to kind of flaws of this game, there's only a few that I can really think of that didn't really take too much away from the game for me. Some of them, like I said, can be that you spend a lot of time talking to these people, but the rewards are huge from it. So of course, it could just feel a little tedious, but I loved talking to them and learning about the world. One thing that kind of sucked is the audio logs that you have are, so you scan it, you scan the audio logs, you can play it by pressing triangle, but pressing triangle again stops the conversations from happening. And what's the interact with? So it's a, you're listening to the audio message, you're running around, you want to loot a chest. You have to press triangle in order to be able to do that. So as soon as you do, the audio message cuts off, and that's it. So that sucked having to do, where you'd have to replay to basically just stand still. You can't loot anything. And again, it does add to the challenge of the game, and it makes sense that you have to scan the enemies to get their weaknesses. But I found a lot of the time the enemies are so quick and they have attacks that can hit you from any range. So having to scan the enemy and wait for the full scan to complete to know where their weak points are and what weak points are more susceptible to like the certain ammo types could sometimes take a long while to scan, or sometimes you wouldn't have time at all and the enemies would just get big damage done onto you. And Aloy takes a lot of damage. She doesn't have her old armor that she got at the end of the first game. So you definitely need to scour around for resources quite a lot, which can be a little tedious, but again, it's so rewarding and I highly recommend doing it because you're going to need a lot of berries in your pouch if you're going to be taking as much damage to me, because this is actually, the difficulty curve of this game did go up quite a bit, and I found it was in a very good way where you really have to learn how to read enemies' movements and their attacks, where to dodge, how to roll, what ammo to use in certain situations. You're swapping on the fly a lot, and it's very, very fun. But of course, the resource picking can slow down the game quite a bit in terms of its pace. And then, really, the other two things I can say that kind of take away from this game is some of the animations really quickly are a little wonky, where Aloy gets basically a paraglider, which is so much fun to use and so fast if you're jumping down from mountains and you want to get to a certain place. But once you get to the ground, there's this weird little hover animation that she does over the ground for about 2 seconds before she actually lands. That just looks a little weird, but again, it doesn't really stop the gameplay. And another one, kind of same thing, it doesn't stop the gameplay, it just looks a little wonky, is you have this grappling hook that'll basically shoot you to certain places that are harder to reach and of course higher to get to you. But basically when Aloy gets to the point of contact, there's again just a weird little janky animation when she gets there where it shakes really quickly and then she snaps into place, where it just looks weird, but I feel like that's something that can easily be polished down the line. And then the last thing that I want to say is that the climbing mechanics in this game aren't the greatest, just because it is a linear path that you have to take to get to certain places, and it feels like it should be like Breath of the Wild where you're able to climb just about anywhere to get up to certain places. Like it really looks that way, but a lot of the time there's a super linear path that you have to take, and sometimes the controls aren't very responsive to what you need to do, where like the yellow, you can use your focus to scan the path that you need to take. And you'll see like the yellow lines over top, but you're holding the joystick and the Aloy just won't grab it. So you have to go back down, go low to the right, and then go back up. And even though you're basically in the same spots and the yellow line above you is the same length that you're underneath it the whole time, it's just little things like that that again just slow down the pacing of this game and can make the climbing a little frustrating. But again, a lot of the platforming still is pretty damn well done when you get into the smaller sections. It's just kind of the more the open world, wanting to explore, climb up certain mountain sections. Feel tedious, or you just have to run so far around and then find out that, oh crap, I actually have to travel back because there's only one tiny little human sized way up on this entire mountainside. So that's just a little bit of an annoying thing, but again, just playing through this game is so much fun. I love being able to slide down hills. And it's one of those games too where your slide doesn't have a set distance. If you're going down an incline, you can slide down a whole mountain side if you really want to, or if the terrain allows for that. So that was very fun. Slows down too if you want to bring out your bow in those sections. It's, if you have the perk attached to it, it will slow down it for you so you can shoot in slow mo, and it's very, very awesome to do so. The skill tree in this is very good, and basically by doing side missions, quests, looting, things like that, you'll get XP where you can upgrade the tree. There's 6 different classes that you can work towards, where some upgrade your health, some upgrade your hand-to-hand combat, some upgrade your traps, your bow combat, things like that. But it's basically a big skill tree, and you pick which skills you want to learn from there, and you'll basically gain abilities to just more health, more stamina, be able to put more traps on a battlefield at a time. Just things like that that'll make the game a lot easier for you, a lot smoother, and a lot better in terms of combat. How fast Aloy regenerates, you're able to pick up more resources in the world from the same plants, or even to just make resources, craft things using less resources. Just a bunch of things like that, which is very, very fun to go through, and it's very, very well worth, again, the scavenging. It just can sometimes slow down the gameplay quite a bit. But yeah, as you can tell, I absolutely love this game, and it's easily going to be remembered as one of the best games on the PS5 generation of console. And I can't recommend this game enough. If you haven't played the first one, I do highly recommend that you do play the first one before you hop into this one, because there is a lot of story that I think you should know, a lot of characters that you should know before you go into it. But this game made me laugh, cheer, damn near cry, got me so excited in so many ways, and I loved it so much. And with all this taken together, I have to give Horizon Forbidden West a 9.5 out of 10. It is so close to a perfect game, but it was a perfect sequel and a great follow up. The ending of it leaves it open to what should be an absolutely crazy, emotional, even bigger third and final game. And I can't wait to see what they do with it. The new locations that they take us to, the new beauty that they can, that they can show us in the world. It should just be absolutely incredible. And they just built off of the first game in all the best ways possible. And I just, hats off to them. This gets the most badass seal of approval in every single way. I can't wait till they release the soundtrack of this game so I can listen to it, because it's absolutely beautiful and mesmerizing in every single way. And I can't wait to just explore more of it, to find more characters. And man, it's just such a good game. It's going to be one of my most recommended games, and I do feel like this could very well be. I mean, we have Elden Ring that I still need to play and God of War coming out, but I do feel like this game has the potential to be a game of the year for me, especially in terms of its story. But if you've played Horizon Forbidden West, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And if you like this review, of course, give it a thumbs up. You can check out everything else I do on this channel through my playlist down below. And for convenience sake, I'll link some videos up top here. Subscribe, turn the little ringer on if you want to know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out everything I do Twitch and live stream wise, there's a link to that in the bio of this video and on my channel. In both of those places, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord, where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that is awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community. That'll make it even more amazing than it is already, and just awesome, guys.